Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of What's Up in Archaeology. Today we're going to continue on with my passion for the Neanderthals, and the more we study them, the more we discover from them, the more we find out that they are very similar to us. I mean, so similar to us that I've always what's that word? Advocated that they are like us. They are a race of humans. By the way, you guys hear me well? I've sort of adjusted the microphone settings, and I don't know how if it's too low or too high. I'll probably shift the microphone closer to me. Now, like I said, the more we study Neanderthals, the more we realize that they are like us in many aspects. And one of them that is very fundamental, and that we thought we were unique in this. We thought we were unique in this, but it turns out we are not. Is in our childhood, modern human childhood, or the period we are children, is very long. It's the longest in the primate lineage. Even the ape lineage that we belong to. But a new study has shown that Neanderthals are the same as us, and I will share the screen, as I always do. The study is in the description of the same source. I'm reading here. I'm reading here from the Science journal, and there's also in the description the actual study, because the full study in this case, it's not hasn't been put behind a paywall. So we have here a child, a Neanderthal child, and you can see by the characteristics that he's a Neanderthal child and not a Homo sapien child by his occipital orbs, or the brow ridges. He has no chin, and the forehead's sloping backwards. You can't see it very well with the hair, but he would look like a weak-chinned modern human, characteristic-wise. Now, let's start the actual article itself. Now, Neanderthals have long been seen as the James Dean of human evolution, genes of human evolution. They grew up fast, died young, and became legends. Okay, that's a nice joke. I'll accept that. This is a humorous person, and James Dean reference is very good. I admired his films. He was a very good actor. Not like today, but I digress. But now, rare skeleton of a Neanderthal child suggests that our closest cousins, the racial cousin, a race of humans, race of our species, didn't all lead such fast lives, and that our own long childhoods aren't unique. They find that may have revealed that how Neanderthals, like humans, have had enough energy to grow bigger brains, because the Neanderthal brains, on average, has been found to be just slightly larger than ours. On average, the modern human brain capacity is 1.3 liters, and the Neanderthals have been averaged about 1.5 liters. It's only about close to that. There is a specimen that it's 1.7 liters, and Neanderthal had a 1.7 liter brain capacity. And so they were big brain humans. Now, to grow the brain, you need a lot of energy. Our brain expends about 50 to 55% of our total caloric intake or energy expenditure. Our brain is the most energy hungry organ we have. So the bigger the brain is, the more energy you need. And to grow a big brain, it takes time and a lot of energy. So we like the paper. We like the paper because it puts the idea that Neanderthal exceptionalism to rest, wrote anthropologist Maria Ponce de Leon and neurobiologist Christoph Zollikofer from the University of Zurich in Switzerland, who are not the authors of the new study in the email. I don't know what the RIP means, but the study is in the description. The researchers have long known that modern humans take almost twice as long as chimpanzees to reach adulthood, and have wondered why and when and why our ancestors evolved the ability to prolong childhood and delay reproduction. I'll continue to read that, and then I'll give my point of view. Our distinct ancestors, such as the famous fossils Lucy and other Australopithecines, matured quickly and died young, like chimps. Even early members of our species, Homo, such as the 1.6 million year skeletons of Homo erectus grew up faster than we do. Again, like I said, it's my conjecture. This is my hypothesis, and possibly I've read the study. I haven't read this article, even though I got the idea to do this stream from this article. But I usually go and find the study and read just enough of the study to understand it, then come back to the article. So as always, I'm also reading it like you guys are reading it new. Unless you've followed me on Twitter, and I've liked and retweeted this article, and most of the ones I do. So there you guys can be ahead of, or at least up to scratch, up to date with me. It's to do with the brain, of course, the brain development, and it takes a lot of time and energy for modern humans to obtain our the size of our brain and the complexity of our brain, of thoughts, etc. Now, Homo erectus, for all his complexity, had a relatively small brain capacity, less than a liter. Australopithecines were about the same size as chimpanzees, maybe a little bit bigger. Now, but we have a new hominin, Homo naledi, which is turning a lot of ideas on the brain structure on its head and around. But that'll be for a future. I've already mentioned him, by the way, Homo naledi. I've made a couple of videos. Go back and see them. But Homo naledi is really, really revolutionizing our understanding of our brains. He is a very, very, very important find, as important or even more important than Homo sapiens denisovans, for example. So by the time the earliest known members of our species, Homo sapiens, were alive 300,000 years ago in Jebel Irhoud in Morocco, very up to date. They've already up to date. This one was Jebel Irhoud is archaic Homo sapiens, and I will be talking about this in a future video. I'm planning to do something about Homo sapiens in particular. It could be a standalone video because I'm going to do a lot of things after November when I get everything really organized. So I'm going to revamp my channel and so on, but that's just a preamble. They were taking longer to grow up. A leading theory is that the big brains are so metabolically expensive that humans have to delay age of reproduction. See, told ya. And hence have longer childhoods, of course. Whales also have long childhoods, by the way. They also have big brains, as do the other cetaceans like dolphins, and they take in general, their childhood is slightly longer than, say, other mammals of the same type or the same mass, etc., the same gross mass, the same brain size. That well, they have bigger brains than most other mammals, but because they are, I don't want to use the word intelligence in this case, because it'll take us to a whole other kettle of fish, which is not what I want to bring up. But they are more sophisticated brain activities and more sophisticated brain usage. That's what I want to say. So and hence so the first time mothers are older and thus bigger and strong enough to have the energy to feed the babies with such big brains after birth, when their brains are doubling in size. Yes, obviously. Our brain size is limited to the birth canal, or the female pelvis, by the way. Neanderthals also had the same problem as us, and that's why our brains, our physical head, our head is not bigger than the Neanderthals, just shaped different. We have reached the maximum brain size capacity you can have. Neanderthals as well. So earlier studies found that Neanderthal permanent teeth grew significantly faster and erupted earlier than those of our species. This suggests that we reached adulthood a few years earlier than Neanderthals. This is a clickable link if you guys want to see. This article is also in the description. If you guys want to see the links that are in the darker blue, gets you to other articles, which you should do. It's a learning way. And our development schedule is unique. But a recent study of the skulls of 15 Neanderthals by Ponce de Leon, for those historical buffs, Ponce de Leon was a conquistador. I wonder if anyone got that. I'm sure Archaeology may have gotten that. I definitely know that Sage, Sage, Sage Cronsel would get this. Ponce de Leon. He's the one that discovered Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Just a bit of trivia. Getting back to being sidetracked. And Zollikofer found that the different parts of the brain developed after birth in a similar pattern to modern humans, which suggests Neanderthals also had longer childhoods. I'm not surprised. It's normal. Now, all of this work has had to focus on only one part of the body, because more complex skeletons of Neanderthal children are so rare. Of course, the discovery of a 49,000-year-old partial skeleton of a child at El Cedron cave in northwestern Spain. I was close to that cave once. A close relative, a few tens of kilometers, or about 100 and 200 kilometers around that area. Had a chance to compare the growth rate around the body and the skull. The team led by the Spanish researcher measured the maturation of teeth, skull, spine, elbow, hand, wrist, and knees. They are where most of the cartilage is. You also have cartilage in your ribs, and you can measure the growth pattern, because the cartilage has rings and so on. Yes, you can see the growth rings in teeth, growth rings in cartilage, and that's the teeth, skull, spine, elbows, hand, wrists, and knees is where you get the most the growth pattern more. The lengthening of the tibia, fibula, uh, that's the legs, and the hands is the spatula. Oh, I forget the names, but the limbs, the lengthening of the limbs are also prominent, but you get better indication from these the extremities where they show, assessing that the child's development in a holistic way. Says the first author, Antonio Rosas, and a paleoanthropologist in the Museum of Natural History, National Museum of Natural Science in Madrid. So yeah, they studied those specific points to get how, because that's where you get the growth rings. Like I said, I'm sort of repeating myself because I may have not made it clear in my ramblings just before. Sometimes I ramble a little bit on. Sorry about that, guys. Now, anatomist Christopher Dean of the University College of London first calculated at the age of the child, probably a boy, given the robustness of his bones at death, by counting daily growth lines in slices of one of the molars. Like I said, you can measure the growth in your teeth. Found out how old he was. The results was 7.7 years old. This was a 7-year-old child, and allowed the team to benchmark the child's dental growth against data from more than 10,000 modern children from around the world. And then the team examined the computerized tomography scans of his bones to chart how 6 key places calcified. That's the cartilage turning into bone. That's the calcification. You do that in your skull, because as the skull grows, it's cartilaginous, and then it calcifies into bone. You can see it's almost like plate tectonics. You can see that also at all the joints and the ribs, of course. The boy's limp bones were maturing at the same rate as a modern child from his age. The team reports. However, the vertebrae at the center of his spine had not yet fused. Another indication of the childhood. In adults, they are fused. In children, they are not, so it takes time. Unlike those in modern human children of a similar age. That's something that distinguishes us from them. And the back of the Neanderthal child's skull shows signs that his brain was still growing. Obviously, if his brain is only 7.7 years old, the brain, even in modern children, they grow. And to get to 1 point average, 1.4 to 5 liters brainal capacity, you need time, because your skull has to grow as well. The team noted that the child's brain had reached only about 87% of the average adult Neanderthal's brain size, whereas modern human brains reach 90% of their age of 5. Could be due, again, I'm hypothesizing, could be due to a lot of factors, because modern humans of later, I'm talking about pre-agriculture, modern humans had a much more efficient hunting technique and hunting strategy than Homo sapiens neanderthalenses. So of course the modern humans would have had a richer diet. Then would have developed their brains faster, while Neanderthals, having a slightly less efficient food procurement strategy, have richer sources of food that the modern humans had, would have taken them a bit longer. Again, that is my interpretation and my hypothesis. I just paused watching my my beer bottle if it didn't spill out because I tapped it too much. Anyway, Neanderthals and modern humans are following the same growth patterns, but we have detected some subtle differences. Of course, no surprise there. Some experts are wary of making sweeping conclusions about Neanderthals from the study of only one child. Legitimate, absolutely legitimate. Neanderthal first molars typically grow at a faster rate than modern human molars, okay, which makes this individual unusual. Well, of course it would be unusual because he would be placed in one point measured against an average. Okay, he is the exception to the average. For now, I'm just saying for now. We could have future finds which either confirm this, modify this, enhance this, or totally debunk this. All the possibilities are there, and we are open to them. Yes, Gunny, alien cavemen. Yes, man, aliens. I love aliens. Tanya Smith from the Griffith University of Natham in Australia, who studies Neanderthal tooth development. Also, the brain and bodies of the adult Neanderthals vary in size, as do humans, of course, modern humans. And this individual might have grown up to be relatively small brain Neanderthals. Oh, that's a big assertion there. I won't even comment. That's an assertion that person who made the claim has to prove. So, sure. Ponce de Leon and Zolikofer say, in their views, these subtle differences are almost certainly an issue of statistics. Well said, of course. Rosas hopes to confirm the overall pattern of growth in other partial skeletons of Neanderthal child, such as the one in Russia. In the meantime, he says small differences in the body developments may offer clue about what makes humans different, says Rosas. In the fine modulation, we might find reasons to understand why Neanderthals are Neanderthals and modern humans are modern. Yeah, sure. That's a good conclusion. I have no problem with that, but I only give my opinion. So yes, we have shown in this study that Neanderthals, at least in this child, but I'm sure it'll be enhanced if the more finds we uncover, the more data we have, the more our evidence and statistics, and we can then extrapolate. So yes, I just don't agree with the assertion that Tanya Smith made, and that is a very, as an archaeologist, I would never make such an assertion without having the evidence, but that is just me. So we have come to the end of this nice little article, and I can see what you guys have written in the chat. Okay, I'll start from the bottom because Davey 1602 is the last one. Hey, me, yes, you may have answered this before, but is there evidence of Neanderthal DNA in African natives? Only introduced by the into Africa. For example, natively, no. Neanderthals developed in Eurasia. Any DNA from them would have been transmitted by modern humans into the African population. That is the evidence that would be done. So, yes, from outside of Africa, no, they did not natively have any Neanderthals because, like I said, Neanderthals are a Eurasian species, while Homo sapiens sapiens are a African species, all most likely have evolved from Homo antecessor, our ancestor that gave rise, which most likely is Homo heidelbergensis. He fits all the tick marks, in my very, very, very humble opinion, as being the ancestors to Homo sapiens sapiens, Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, Homo sapiens denisovans, and the fourth unknown Homo sapiens that the Andaman Islanders carry in their DNA, which is unique, and we haven't found any other evidence from anywhere else. So that is a reasonable answer, I think. I don't think I would get any major argument from any archaeologist, or anthropologist, or paleoanthropologist. But there are some that would. No worries, Davey. Anyone else? Let's see. Cranium can turn to bone too soon. Not a good thing. Flexible. Yes, exactly. Like I said, Beach Price. The brain needs to, as the brain grows, the skull has to also grow, and that's why it's cartilaginous until it calcifies when you get old enough, when you pass puberty and your brain size settles and your skull basically fuses. Okay, David Setchell, was there or is there evidence of early art like La Chaux, not necessarily paintings? Did Neanderthals have art, even functionally like pottery? No, but yes, David, they did have art. They did have symbolic art, like necklaces, the wearable art, and they also apparently had also durable art, which is in decorations of caves in Bermuda. No, God, no, it's not Bermuda. Sorry, God, I'm thinking of, I don't know what the fuck I'm thinking of. Bermuda must be all the conspiracy in. God damn it, the Rock in Spain, Pillars of Hercules. God damn it, what's that word? In southern Spain. God, it'll come to me. The place. There is a cave where they have found that Neanderthals, it was just Neanderthals, they used the limestone. I've made a video of that, by the way. If you can check out it's somewhere in my thing. Gibraltar. Thank you, John. Oh God, I was thinking of Bermuda. I don't know, with the island. Must be because of Maria that passed by there. Bermuda, etc., the Caribbean. Gibraltar, where they found that the Neanderthals had used stalactites and stalagmites to make circles around in ceremonial time. That is art. They also have scratched art, and the more we are finding, we are discovering, the more we are excavating and studying, we are finding that Neanderthals had art. So yes, David Satchel, they did have art. Pottery, no, that is pure Homo sapiens sapiens. The oldest form of pottery, which is from the Republic of the Czech Republic, Dolní Věstonice, is a small Venus figurine, or the Venus figurine is basically, quote unquote, a goddess, is a skull, a small bust of a female bust made of pottery. That is the earliest known ceramic firing, and it's 30,000 years old, around that. The Neanderthals did have burial rituals. Yes, they did. We have lots of graves in caves where the Neanderthals burial with plants. From the pollen we found in them, we could identify which plants were used. Ochre, which is a mineral, iron oxide, which is red, and they were sprinkled on top of the corpse. So yes, they did ritually burial. Also, Homo naledi also apparently, it's still a hypothesis, ritually buried their dead, and they're doing excavations as we speak in South Africa in the Naledi caves. Oh God, I can't remember the names. It's something about sun, but it's there. Yes. Yes, David. The Czech Pilsner is bloody awesome. Absolutely, yes. And thank you. Okay, I'm wrapping it up. It's 10:30. I've done about half an hour. So thank you guys for coming on. Like I said again, next week I won't be doing any live streams because I will be in London. I'm planning to visit the Natural History Museum in London because they have a lot of stuff there, and I want to, if I can film or take photographs of shit, see what I can do. For example, so I might do another one before. If anything interesting happens, still only Wednesday. I still can have Friday, can have Saturday, Sunday, so even Thursday. So I can do a few more before I go. So cheers, guys, and